Hello guys and gals, and welcome. So we finally got our 2.6 final patch notes, and according to Pez Radar, these are the final patch notes that we can expect to see on February 16th when the game goes live. Now there's a lot of changes in here, Runeword changes, and apparently there's some feature updates. So let's dive right in, shall we? Diablo 2 Resurrected Ladder Season 3 coming soon, and patch 2.6, that's right. Patch 2.6. You've returned safely. Join us around the campfire, adventurer. The stench of hell grows in intensity. Crazed snarls can be heard from afar. Demons birth straight from your nightmares surge forward toward you. Meet them axe first on February 16th when Ladder Season 3 starts. We have quite a few updates to Diablo 2 Resurrected to share to continue on the more comprehensive look on what is released with Ladder Season 3 patch 2.6. Our first two ladder seasons for Diablo 2 Resurrected showed how adept your adventurers were at saving Sanctuary, racing to be the first to cement their names on the leaderboard, all the while striking fear into the tormented hearts of the demonic adversaries in the process. Ladder Season 3 will begin on February 16th, ushering in a new opportunity for brave adventurers to race to level 99, amass powerful loot along the way. We cannot wait to see how the 8 new rune words will influence the leaderboard, or hopefully allow new players the opportunity to see their name on it for the first time. We're also introducing changes to the availability of Sundering Charms, existing rune words, and new Heraldric Cube recipes. With the start of Ladder Season 3, more information of these can be found in the following sections. Ladder Season 3 launch timing. North America, 5 p.m. PST. Europe, 2 a.m. CET. Asia, 10 a.m. KST. 5 p.m. PST, what is that, like 8 or 9 o'clock? Yeah, it's like 8 p.m. at night, so on the 16th. So February 16th at night, we're going to be gathering. As it was with the previous seasons, Ladder Season 3 will feature 4 different modes. For those new to Ladder Seasons, you might be wondering what happens to your shared stash. So your shared stash is going to become a past shared stash. This is something we've already discussed. Once Ladder Season 2 ends, all ladder characters will be transferred to their respective non-ladder group. All items in that character group's shared stash go into a new withdrawal-only set of shared stash tabs. 8 new rune words. Oh, they did change it. Look, Hustle now has all resistances 10 plus 6 evade. Ooh. Are you kidding me? Dude, they may have just buffed up the melee one a little too. Plus 6 evade as an O skill. I'm assuming it's an O skill. Eventually, individually they are mighty, but when uttered in unison, a greater force is awoken. This is the mystique of rune words. Call upon these archaic forces to transform your ordinary items into wieldable forces of destruction capable of smiting the demonic hordes. We are introducing 8 new rune words for ladder and offline single player. Our intent with introducing these additional rune words in Diablo 2 is to sprinkle a variety into the competitive meta. Bulwark. Bulwark has not been changed. Okay, so Bulwark is still the amazing helmet that it always was, and I didn't expect them to change Bulwark because Bulwark is honestly already really good. Cure now has level 1 cleansing aura when equipped. Wow, okay. That is going to make Cure a very popular helmet. A very popular helmet indeed. Free cleansing aura, for even if it's just level 1, for free cleansing aura is absolutely amazing, and people will actually be using that. They totally 100% will. Ground has not been changed. I didn't really feel like ground needed necessarily to be changed, but they could have added something. Hearth has been given cannot be frozen, which was honestly just something that I don't know how they missed that in the first place. They have this helmet, which is literally supposed to make you like amazingly resistant to cold and everything. And they were just like, oh yeah, let's not put the one obvious thing on there. And so I'm glad they did that. Temper has not been changed. Hustle. The armor has been changed to 65% faster run walk, so they beefed up the run walk. The increased attack speed was beefed up from 20% to 40%, so that is quite a big buff to the armor in general. It has been given +6 evade. Now, I need to look this up real quick because that's pretty crazy. Evade is the one that... Is that the one that when you're... while moving, right? Grants a chance to evade any attack while moving. Yes, so that's the one specifically that gives you a % chance to just simply avoid an attack while you're moving. Now, not standing still, and level 6 evade is going to give you a 40% chance to dodge those attacks while moving. If it is an O skill, there is a good chance that you could beef that up, of course, with plus to skill equipment. I mean, easily most people have around like plus 10, let's say about 10. So you're looking at 54% chance to evade an attack while moving, which is actually extremely powerful. That's, yeah. And then they also threw all resistances 10 on there as well, which is kind of insane. For how much, for what this Runeword costs, it's pretty ridiculous. Hustle. 5% chance to cast level 1 burst of speed on striking. So they took it down from level 9 to level 1. Interesting. So it's no longer the same amazing skill. Let me take a look at this real quick. Burst of speed. At level 1, we are looking at a 21% increased attack speed, a 23% increased run walk, and a duration of 2 minutes. 2 minutes is not that much more or less than what it was before, which was like three minutes. So, I mean, it's still there. It's just not doing as much as it was before. But then they also gave it level 1 fanaticism aura, which is okay. So now we have a free, easy to get source of fanaticism. Yes, it's level 1 fanaticism, but it's still fanaticism. Let me take a look at this. So level 1 fanaticism is a 14% increased attack speed, 40% increased attack percentage, 50% increased damage, party damage 25%. I mean, honestly, for a co-rune, which is really all that is a co-rune, that is actually kind of nice. Having the ability to just tag on fanaticism on literally any character for a co-rune isn't a terrible option. It goes in any weapon, which means you can throw it on any mercenary. So you can literally have free level 1 fanaticism aura on any merc. Very early on, too. Obviously, a hell of a lot cheaper than a Beast Runeword or a... Hell of a lot cheaper than a Beast Runeword or a Faith Bow. Mosaic. They changed it to 50%. Wow. I didn't expect them to go that high. I expected them to go to 33%. I expected them to go to maybe 40%. I didn't expect them to go to 50. So it's going to be 100% with 2 claws. So if you're wearing 2 claws, you're going to have a 100% chance to not consume the effect. That's actually kind of insane. When a finisher is executed this way, it now refreshes the expiration timer of the stack. Wow. So the combo orbs are not going to just disappear. 7% lifesteal was added, 8 to 15% cold skill damage, 8 to 15% lightning skill damage, and 8 to 15% fire skill damage was added. Man, they've really beefed this claw up. Mosaic has literally gone through the roof as far as like its usefulness now. Not only does it have 100% instead of 50%, we're talking about also it refreshes the stacks so that literally you don't have to worry about the combo stacks expiring. So as long as you're attacking, as long as you're fighting, the combo stacks will stay at whatever level you have them set to. That's absolutely insane. That's nuts. Metamorphosis. They increased the bonus to attack rating from 20 to 30%. And they took away the crushing blow from Mark of the Bear. 25% chance of crushing blow, no longer attached to Mark of the Bear. It doesn't say that they removed it. It just says that it's no longer attached to Mark of the Bear, which means that it's now free. I'm not really quite sure I understand that change or why that was necessary. But the 25, it looks like the 25% chance of crushing blow is still on Metamorphosis. It's just no longer attached to the Mark of the Bear mark. So the Mark of the Bear now is 25% increased attack speed, physical damage reduced by 20%, but it doesn't include the 25% crushing blow. Then they moved the crushing blow down, so that it's now just a regular part of the helmet, which means you don't need either one of the buffs to obtain it. So Metamorphosis has honestly gotten an increase. That's a buff. A 10% increase in attack rating, and also the crushing blow no longer requires the use of the two buffs to obtain. So definitely a buff there to Metamorphosis. Bulwark, Temper, and Ground, we liked where they were at and opted for no change. Cure. Given Cure's more niche use cases, we opted to strengthen it with the Cleansing Aura. Note that the base poison duration reduction on the item went down, but the addition of Cleansing Aura results in a net buff to poison duration reduction. Hearth, to build on the theme of this runeword, we gave it a bit more oomph to solidify it as a go-to gear option when struggling with enemies who deal with cold damage. Hustle. Most of the feedback we received was around the armor form. The bulk of our focus was to improve that form. We also saw improvements we could make to the weapon form. For the armor, we wanted to add more offensive utility and some defensive stats in the form of all resistances. For the weapon, we wanted to make using it as a primary weapon more attractive option to increase its viability beyond its pre-buff utility. And I said this. I was literally talking about it before the patch notes hit. They basically had a weapon that was a solid pre-buff, but they didn't want a pre-buff item. They didn't want an item that was only for pre-buffing. So they took the weapon and they turned it into something that was more than just simply pre-buff. And I saw that coming a mile away, because usually developers don't like just simply adding in pre-buff items. That's silly. Metamorphosis, we moved in the direction of a slight buff to Metamorphosis. We want this runeword to really compete for best in slot shapeshifter druids. Mosaic. We went all in on increasing the strength of the Mosaic runeword. We wanted to add extra flexibility by increasing the chance to not consume charges from 25% to 50%. So you can either wield one to get that 50% chance, or dual wield for that 100% chance of not consuming charges. We also added an extra effect to how not consuming charges interacts with charge maintenance. The 7 runewords and a handful of Heraldric Cube recipes that were added in Ladder Season 1 can now be used in non-ladder online game modes. Flickering Flame, Mist, Obsession, Pattern, Plague, Unbending Will, and Wisdom. The Heraldric Cube recipes to upgrade set items have been added into non-ladder. And Sundering Charms. Adventurers keep a keen eye toward the floor as you cut through Hell's Legions. Sundering Charms can now drop from fallen foes in all non-classic game modes. So non-ladder now has access to Sunder Charms. Remember that you do have to actually be in a zone that can drop Sunder Charms, the terror zones. On February 15th at 10 a.m. PST, changes to terror zones and a variety of quality of life updates and bug fixes will go live. So patch 2.6 is going to hit us on February 15th at 10 a.m. PST, which is, again, 1 p.m. EST. To spice things up further, we have made changes to the Terror Zones. Also, Terror Zones are now available in offline games. Nice. Terror Zones are now available for offline players. Congratulations, offline players. You have joined the ranks of the Terror Zones. Offline Terror Zones will operate on a different schedule from their online counterpart, but function the same otherwise. Remember, you can now receive Sundering Charms as a drop in offline Terror Zone games too. The red font text below denotes which new zones may be terrorized or zones that will now be terrorized in unison. Here is a complete list of all the zones that can become terrorized. So Darkwood / Underground Passage. So Underground Passage has been added to Darkwood. Black Marsh and the Hole have been added. The jail has been added to the barracks, so the barracks is now part of the list. Ancient Tunnels has been added separately, so it's not part of Lost City. It's just a separate terror zone. That's nice. I was actually wondering why they never terrorized Ancient Tunnels. I thought that was silly. Great Marsh, nobody is going to be too excited about that one. And Kuros has been removed. I think everybody is rejoicing that Kuros was removed from the Terror Zone list. Bloody Foothills, Frigid Highlands, and Abaddon apparently are all at the same time. That's nice. Those are actually all ones that honestly probably should have been at the same time anyway. Grid Drifter Cavern was finally added to Glacial Trail. Pit of Acheron was finally added to Ariat Plateau. Those are great. Developers' notes, our adjustments are focused on adding more variety to the available terror zones and improving the playability of existing zones. We've added some new zones and broadened others and even removed a zone that was generally unpopular with our players. Quality of life updates and bug fixes. Gameplay. Auras from another player or mercenary no longer remove passive bonuses granted by the same skill, such as Flickering Flames resist fire aura from a mercenary, overriding a paladin's base resist fire from their own hard points in resist fire. This also fixes an issue where Paladin's Blessed Aim aura would overwrite the attack rating increase granted by Amazon's Penetrate skill. Nice. So they fixed the Blessed Aim Penetrate bug. Hell yes. So that is a win for the Amazon. The Amazon has had this bug for a very long time, and it's a very good thing to see this bug be fixed. Assassin. The Assassin's trap skills now benefit from negative enemy resistance. I don't know how they pulled that one off. But that is absolutely amazing win for the Assassins. Fixed an issue where missiles created from martial arts charge-up skills would not gain the benefit of plus to elemental skill damage modifiers. Interesting. So Assassins got some nice little buffs here across the board. Amazon fixed an issue where Strafe was not applying bonus attack rating to attacks. That's absolutely amazing. Fixed an issue where Strafe was still doing the 75% weapon damage after previous balance change. Fixed an issue where the plus attack rating on Power Strike was not being applied. Fixed the tooltip for multi-shot to reflect the synergy bonus. Sorceress. Cold Mastery is now applied at 1/5 effectiveness after an immunity is broken. So Cold Mastery on the Sorceress has been nerfed. That is a solid 100% nerf for the Cold Sorceress. Let's take a quick look here. At Cold Mastery, and assuming, of course, we have a really beefed up Cold Sorceress. Let's say she's running like level 45 Cold Mastery. Level 45 Cold Mastery is 240%. So applying the penalty to the 240%, so 240% minus 80% is 48%. So we're looking at 48% negative from a maxed out Cold Mastery Sorceress. This means that the Cold Sorceress is no longer going to be the queen. I'm actually kind of surprised to see that they did this, but and not surprised at the same time. It's a really ballsy move, basically. It's something that needed to happen because the Cold Sorceress just kind of took over last season almost completely. And I mean, it still means that Cold Mastery is going to have a very strong effect with the Sunder Charm, but not as strong as it was in the past, and the Cold Sorceress is going to have to actually use some equipment to counter the negative resistance. Things like Cold Facets and, not Rift, but what's the other one? The other cold damage one that has the big negative cold res on it. There's a lot of negative cold res items, actually. Even Doom, if you've got the chutzpahs for it. Fixed an issue where Fire Mastery bonus to fire skill damage didn't apply to the additional fire damage granted by enchant on ranged weapons. What? Fixed an issue where the Fire Mastery bonus to fire skill damage didn't apply to the additional fire damage granted by enchant on ranged weapons. You know what this means? This means that if the Fire Mastery wasn't properly being applied, then the enchant Sorc, the enchant bow Sorc, which is something that's actually a thing and been a thing for a very long period of time, was not applying her fire damage properly. And this means that now the enchant bow Sorc may be extremely powerful, especially if they were never applying their Fire Mastery bonus to their ranged attacks in the first place. Which means that somehow the freaking enchant Sorc is now going to be ridiculous. I'm going to have to test that out. That'll be something we put on the list, is test out the enchant Sorc again. Updated the tooltip for enchant to better reflect the skill's effects. To better reflect the skill's effects. I wonder what that is. Druid fixed an underlying issue that caused the Druid's shockwave skill to do unintended amount of damage. Didn't I tell all you guys? I'm gonna sit right here on my soapbox. I'm gonna sit right here on my soapbox. I told all you guys. Every single one of you guys that came to me and was like, "Oh my God, did you hear how amazing shockwave was? And it does so much damage, and apparently it's a bug, and it does all this damage." And I was like, "Guys, it's a bug. They're gonna fix it. It's a bug." They're going to fix it. It's a bug. They're going to fix it. It's a bug. They're going to fix it. Every single time I told you guys, I said, it's a bug. They're going to fix it. I'm like, don't build your character around a bug that they're going to fix. Because then when they fix the bug, then your character's effed. You gone. All right? It's a bug. It was a bug, and then they were going to fix it, and I knew they were going to fix it, and look, it's fixed. There you go. Congratulations. I've been proven right. Developers note, we wanted to implement targeted changes and buffs for the Druid instead of having a particular Druid build be strong because of a bug. Sky Haley, they deliberately delayed the patch notes so that we could play the Harry Potter game. You know that. You know that's right. That's exactly what freaking Pez Radar was doing. Terror zones. Fixed terrorized treasure classes for certain super unique monsters and bosses. Fixed terrorized treasure. That's a loaded statement, and that one's something we're going to have to freaking test out. That's something we're going to have to play with. Treasure classes is basically what the monster drops. So according to this, certain super unique monsters and bosses didn't have the correct terrorized treasure class. I mean, I'm assuming that if all this means is that they weren't functioning properly before and now they are functioning properly, then that's it. We just, then we just go forward from there. Fixed an issue where Act Boss's quest treasure class would sometimes be used instead of the terrorized treasure class. So there was a video a little while ago about some sort of bug. It was like an Andy quest bug or something. And it was like if you quest bug Andy, it ruins her treasure class or something, and it does the wrong thing. So it looks like that's fixed. Don't got to worry about that anymore. Fixed an issue where the current terrorized zone was not properly marked in the waypoint menu using legacy graphics. Fixed an issue where the translations that appear when the pit is a current terrorized zone. Controller. Fixed an issue where skills granted by charges on characters' alternative weapon slot would have their bound hotkeys unusable when loading into the game. Fixed an issue where the loot to cube skill would not function if bound to a shared interaction button. This is where things get spicy. This is where things get really spicy. The general fixes. There's always like hidden crap in here, man. There's always hidden crap. All right. Fixed an issue where pressing the hotkey to open the inventory while loading into the game could cause the inventory UI to appear empty. Fixed an issue where the shared stash could exceed the memory limit, which caused items in the player's inventory or stash to be deleted. Cooley was playing around with that and managed to make quite a few of his items disappear by putting in a huge number of crafted items that had large numbers of modifiers. He was able to exceed the memory limit and cause items to be deleted. This was there was a whole video on this if you want to check it out. So that's something that doesn't happen anymore. Fixed an issue where the tooltip of the lobby's season dropdown would show inaccurate date. Fixed an issue where the news entries from the leaderboard could display as unknown. New entries, not news. Fixed an issue where applying changes to controls would automatically close the settings menu. Fixed an issue where changes to controls would be immediately applied. Fixed an issue where swapping between keyboard and mouse input and controller input would reset the difficulty filter in the PC lobby games list. Added an appropriate error message when trying to create an online character with a name that is already taken on the player's online character list. The ladder flag in character creation will now be displayed when there is no active ladder season. Fixed an issue where with the voiceover line from Tyrael in Chinese. Fixed an issue with the Chinese version of Deckard Cain's Stay a while and listen voiceover dialogue. Modding. Move the % damage synergy field for multiple shot from Calc 4 to Calc 5. New columns have been added. Developers of existing offline single-player mods can remake their changes with the new data, or they can add the new columns manually before merging. Skills.txt, item use restrict. Skill description.txt, item proc text, item proc description line count, states.txt, sunder res negative reduce. So this probably has to do with the fact that they nerfed cold mastery, the Mosaic skill, and a bunch of other new things that were added. Thank you for your continued support. We cannot wait to see you in the great race to level 99 once Ladder Season 3 begins, the Diablo 2 Resurrected team. I mean, let's go back over things, because why not? And we'll talk about these real quick, and then I'm probably going to have to make some videos here. So, first off, let's go down to the new rune words. Bulwark not getting changed was not surprising. Cure getting the level 1 cleansing. Honestly, Cure getting level 1 cleansing is actually very nice. I actually really like that. That will actually make people use Cure. I will probably take a Cure helmet and put it on my mercenary. In fact, I think, honestly, this change has literally made it so that you will probably see a Cure helmet either on you or on your mercenary at some point or another during a gameplay. In fact, more often than not, it may be like the choice, because having the negative curse duration, having the negative poison duration is extremely useful. You can also combine it with the prayer merc, and you can do a triple regeneration aura. So this is something that I don't think a lot of people even thinking of, is I can take a meditation polearm and I can take a cure helmet and I can put it on the hell head and the weapon slot of a mercenary and get the prayer merc. And the prayer has like a regen of like 20, it's like 25 or 20 something like that, right? And then that synergizes to the weapon and to the helmet, which means that now you have 25, 25, 25, and you got a regen of 70, passive regen of was it 75? So it's like 75 passive regen that you can just give to everybody, including curse duration, resistance, your mana regeneration, and all that other crap. So it's a lot. Ground not getting changed wasn't surprising. It was one of the stronger of the helmets. Hearth getting cannot be frozen, that was a no-brainer. They should have done that a long time ago, and that will actually make more players probably build a Hearth helmet. Shale Iothel is not too expensive, and if I need some easy, quick, cannot be frozen early on in the game, it might be a good choice. Temper not getting changed wasn't really very surprising, although I did expect them to add maybe some maximum fire resistance or something. I felt like that would have helped out a lot. Hustle. So this was a pretty big change, and I think we need to talk about the weapon first. So the first thing that they changed was they wanted to make the weapon into not just a buff stick, and I can understand that. I know a lot of people might be upset about this because they basically have turned it into an active use weapon as opposed to a passive use weapon. And the level 1 fanaticism aura combined with the burst of speed together are still basically the same amount of increased attack speed as it was before. But the problem is that you have to actually use the weapon. And they've taken this into account. They basically gave it more damage output, so it went from 150% enhanced damage up to 200, which means it actually has more actual damage on it now. I could totally see using this on a mercenary at this particular point. If I found a nice ethereal base, I could definitely put that on a merc, get my level 1 fanaticism aura. Make myself another one and put it on myself for the burst of speed, which level 1 burst of speed is pretty low. It still is going to give you a pretty significant boost to your run walk and your attack speed. It's just, it only lasts 2 minutes now instead of 3.5, which is not as good. But giving melee characters access to fanaticism, essentially all melee characters access to fanaticism, is not a terrible thing. Fanaticism is one of those things that literally is not easy to get your hands on. If you wanted fanaticism before and you were not a paladin, if you were a barbarian, a druid, whatever class that you were, whether it be Amazon or whatever, if you wanted fanaticism, the only way to get your hands on it was faith bow mercenary or a beast axe. And you can't put the beast axe on a merc, you have to actually wield it, right? So this honestly gives you another option that actually gives you access to fanaticism easily for literally the price of a co-rune. And I can see it being used a lot. It's probably going to get used a lot. It may get used more primarily on the mercenary than on the players themselves, but I'm not entirely sure. I mean, I feel like if I was a melee character and I was leveling up, I wouldn't exactly turn down this. Barbarians also have an interesting standpoint with this, is that they can literally stack 2 of them and get level 2 fanaticism more. Also, it does make a very interesting Iron Golem option. So this is super duper cheap at Shaleco Eld, and I could totally see a Necromancer making Iron Golems out of this to get Fanaticism Aura for his army easily. This is interesting. I'm not exactly sure why they decided to bring Burst of Speed down to level 1, though. Level 1 just seems kind of harsh. I don't know. As for the armor, boy, we need to talk about this armor. We need to talk about this armor, okay? We got to talk about this damn armor. Evade as an O skill is extremely powerful. Evade literally lets you dodge lightning. I'm not even joking. You literally can dodge lightning bolts and all sorts of other crazy stuff. The other interesting thing here that we have to consider is that for any melee character or range character, when you're in there in the thick of it and you run, so during that time period when you are running away from a target, you are vulnerable because your defense goes away and your block chance gets nerfed. So during this very brief period of time when you are moving away from a target, basically you now have the ability to give yourself a protection while you are moving. And the protection while you're moving sounds very interesting. This actually sounds like something that I may have to test out in ad nauseum because it's kind of crazy. And they buffed up the armor like just nutso level. Like we went from 50% faster roam walk to 65, 20% increased attack speed to 40. So it's closer to a treachery now than it ever was before. 20% faster recovery is also very nice. But then it has the all resistance 10 on there, and then it has +6 evade, which is a huge, huge defensive thing. I mean, defensively, just in general, like +6 evade can be useful to anybody. Doesn't matter if you're a freaking sorceress or a freaking paladin. Like having the evade skill on any character is kind of freaking nuts. That right there kind of seems like an overstep. And I hate to say this because they might end up taking it away or something, but it just, I don't know if they understand exactly what they've unleashed by adding in +6 evade to this armor, because they've created like just some very tanky builds. Let me just say this, some very tanky builds. You will be able to make some very tanky characters. PvP connotations of this are going to be insane. So I'm not a big PvP player myself, but this particular +6 evade is going to have huge repercussions in the PvP community. It might end up being a banned item because basically what it offers is it offers every single player the ability to essentially just simply dodge an attack or an ability, no matter what character you are. So, like, if you're a freaking sorceress, for instance, you can throw this armor on and add in evasion to your, to your repertoire. So that the next time somebody tries to, like telestomp you or something, and you're running away from them, there's a very good chance you can just simply dodge the effect. Just kind of honestly insane. Especially when you consider the fact that evade also dodges things when you're walking. So the only time that the evade doesn't work is when you have to be standing still. So if you're standing still, it doesn't work. But if you're moving at all, if you're walking, if you're running, if you're moving in a direction, it works. It's not going to work for whirlwind because whirlwind technically counts as standing still, and it also is not going to work for leap because leap is also technically standing still. There's a couple things it won't work for that technically count as movement, but honestly, that's going to have some huge repercussions. And I mean, to be honest with you, this has become like just an amazing piece of armor for melees, barbarians, paladins, druids. I mean, I definitely can see people making this armor and using it on multiple characters. Mercenaries too. The mercenary probably gets some pretty damn good use out of that armor as well. Mosaic. What can we say about Mosaic? Man, they really went all in. They even said it. They were like, we went all in with Mosaic, dude. They really went all in with Mosaic. Mosaic is now like way better than it was before. At 25% chance, which was what it was before, you could stack two of them, obviously, and you can get a 50% chance to have full uptime on your charges. But now with two claws, you could potentially run 100% uptime on your charges, which means that you're going to be able to spam the same charge over and over and over again, like without end. To give you an idea of what this might look like, I want you to all just imagine in your mind for a minute here. Imagine that I popped up one charge of Phoenix Strike. Now the first charge of Phoenix Strike is a meteor, okay? Now imagine I kick with the kicks in, all right? And I kick 8 times, and I land all 8 kicks because they're guaranteed hits when I have a charge, all right? And I kick 3 times. All right, so I use my ability 3 times, which is 8 times 3, right? So 8, 8, and 8, which is what, 24? 8 plus 8 is 16, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, yeah, 24. So 24 kicks that will all land on the target within that particular time period. Probably takes me all of like, I mean, what does it take for 8 kicks? Probably like a second, 2 seconds, for all 32 or 24 kicks to land. And now imagine 24 meteors landing on the target that I kicked. 24 meteors all coming down in succession. In about 2 seconds, 24 meteors. This is what they've created. It's going to be like absolute spam heaven of abilities. I'm going to be able to like literally spam the same ability multiple times without end. And then here's the beauty of it is that I could do this for multiple abilities. So like I could have 1 charge of Phoenix Strike. I could have 3 charges of Fists of Fire. I could have 3 charges of Claws of Thunder. I could have 3 charges of Blades of Ice, and then I could kick a target 8 times and literally unleash 8 of these attacks that are all going to literally annihilate whatever target it is I'm hitting. Now, in the past, the charges would expire. And this is honestly kind of like a good thing, because when they expired, it made it, even if you did bring it up to 100%, the expiring charges made it so that the charges would eventually leave and you had to rebuild them. But basically how they have it set up is I only have to build the charges 1 time. So I only have to get my configuration. Like imagine, if you will, like I'm cooking myself a meal or something, and once I've got my meal cooked, that's it, and then I just sit down and I eat it. This is basically how they have it set up right now. So I go up, I'm going to attack the monster a certain number of times with each ability. I'm going to build my charges so that I have my meal, and then once I have my meal, essentially every single time I attack, the expiration of the timer stacks will refresh, so that I can maintain exactly the charges that I want to use. And I can just maintain them forever from that point. So I never have to use the charge up abilities again as long as I am attacking. That's actually kind of insane. And this season with the assassin is going to be nuts. And then they also beefed it up a little bit too. They were like, you know what, let's add some more of this and let's do this. And you know what, let's beef it up. So then they threw in 7% lifesteal. They threw in 8 to 15% cold skill damage, 18 to 15% lightning skill damage, and 8 to 15% fire skill damage. And quite honestly, they've created a monster of a weapon here. And I'm going to have a lot of fun with this season. This is it was already going to be my starter. I already chose Assassin as my starter for this season. And this is just going to make my assassin start like just absolutely insane. And Malgull is not expensive. It's really not. The most difficult thing, honestly, with this claw is going to be finding a claw that has the plus to skills that I actually need. Because without the plus to skills that I actually need, I don't know, I'm not going to be able to like make the perfect claw, right? So I'm going to be hunting. I'm going to be hunting for quite some time for like the perfect claw, +3 Phoenix Strike, maybe like +3 Fade or something like that on there. I'm not exactly sure, but it's definitely going to be something we're going to have to keep our eyes on. Metamorphosis got buffed, so I'm actually pretty surprised about that. I thought Metamorphosis was already pretty powerful, but they threw on an extra 10% attack rating, and then they also separated out the Crushing Blow mechanic so that it just simply is a static buff on the helmet, which is pretty crazy. So 2 buffs to Metamorphosis, but nothing really too crazy there, just some buffage. Let's see here. This is confirmation, of course, that all of the ladder only stuff from last season will now be in, non-ladder this season. So do keep that in mind. Patch 2.6 is actually going to launch a day early, so we're going to have a chance to play around with patch 2.6 a day early. just, play around with some of the changes and whatnot. We'll probably do some testing or something that day. New terror zones. I mean, underground passage and Black Martian Hole and barracks and all that stuff. I mean, honestly, I'm pretty pro on a lot of these changes. I don't think anybody's going to Great Marsh, but I mean, Great Marsh is still probably a better choice than Kuros Sewers. Adding in Abaddon and Pit of Acheron was a very good move. That should have been done a long time ago. And adding Drifter Cavern into Glacial Trail, that also should have been done a long time ago. TZs will be available offline. Yes, they did say that. A lot of bug fixes here. I'm actually pretty impressed with a lot of these bug fixes. They fixed a lot of things that were on people's minds, like, for instance, Flickering Flame overriding the Paladin's Resist Fire. The Blessed Aim aura overriding Amazon's Penetrate skill was a big issue. So now you can actually stack Blessed Aim and Penetrate together, which is pretty amazing. This one right here is a big one for the Assassin, a big win for the Trap Assassins. That little line right there doesn't really seem like a whole lot, but for those of you who play Trap Assassins, that is a huge win for the Trappers. And I didn't even know about this one. The fixed an issue where missiles created from martial arts charge-up skills would not gain the benefit of plus to elemental skill damage modifiers. I did not know that one at all. I'm glad that it's been fixed for the patch where people are going to be playing that particular character. The Amazon got a lot of love here. Fix attack rating issues, strafe issues, power strike attack rating. Even the tooltip for multi-shot got adjusted. I mean, quite a lot here, including obviously the Amazon's Penetrate skill that now works, which I understand why they put it up here because it has to do with the Paladin's Blessed Aim aura, but it is it's interesting that it now works properly. So that's something that you don't have to worry about on the Amazon anymore. Amazon got a lot of love. Sorceress got nerfed in the face. I mean, that right there is straight up a nerf to the Sorceress. I mean, you guys got one season. You guys got one good season playing with the overpowered Cold Mastery Sorceress, and now you don't have it. So, okay. Not really gonna, I don't know. Just, you're just gonna have to deal with it. Play something else. Play something else. The Sorceress got literally to take over the entire ladder last season. It's not that big of a deal. Fixed an issue where the Fire Mastery's bonus to fire skill damage didn't apply to the additional fire damage granted by enchant on ranged weapons. So this is kind of a big one for the enchant bow Sorc. The enchant bow Sorc is an actual thing, and it works very well. However, this makes me wonder if, despite the fact that it worked very well before, apparently it was bugged. And the Fire Mastery was not being applied to the enchant on the ranged weapons, which means that when you were using something like Demon Machine on your Sorceress and you had your enchant running, it was decent, but it was bugged. And now that they've fixed it, how much more ridiculous is it going to be now that they fixed it, right? So the enchant bow Sorc might be coming back into popularity. Could be very, very interesting. This is a big one for me because I feel like this validates exactly what I'd been saying the entire time to you guys, that the Shockwave skill is bugged and that they were going to fix it. And they did. All right. So for all of you guys and gals out there who built your Shockwave bugged druids, for those of you who followed Macro Bio Boy's stupid bugged video, I'm laughing in your face at this point because I told you so. I literally told you guys. Every single time one of you guys came to me, every single time you guys were like, "Oh my God, did you hear about Shockwave? Shockwave does so much damage." And I'm like, dude, they're gonna patch it. I'm like, they're going to patch it. I'm like, it's going to be gone. It's a bug and they're gonna patch it. Stop. Just don't do this to yourself. You're building a character around a bug skill and they're gonna take it away and then you're gonna be upset. I'm like, just stop. And they did. And you guys are all probably going to be upset, but I don't care because I told you so. The terrorized zone's getting fixed. So apparently there were some issues with treasure class problems with the treasure class issues using their original loot tables and all that other bullcrap. Apparently that's been addressed. So we don't have to worry about the bosses having the wrong treasure classes in the terrorized zones anymore. Do 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 do. Curious and curious. You know, I didn't see any like big feature in here. Like they said the Pez Radar said there was going to be a feature. And I don't really see a feature. Like where's the features? Hmm. Necromancer was ignored, wasn't he? I think that's pretty much it for the patch notes. There's really not a lot more to go over here. Um, I am going to probably continue this live stream and do some more videos on these rune words. I may even create some new mock versions of them for testing purposes. I think that's a good idea, especially with this hustle rune word. We're gonna have to play around with that and see what the hell that's like. Um, Obviously, if you guys want to stick around, or if you are watching this video later, you can check out the live stream and take a look at some of the other stuff that we do today. Anyway, as always, I do appreciate you guys and gals watching my videos, even when we spend 51 minutes looking at the patch notes. And don't go anywhere, because I'm not going anywhere. I'm just ending the recording.